Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mindfulness online guided meditation. Thank you for being here. We're here to do some mindfulness practice together, and whether you're practicing formally, whether you manage to do a few mindful breaths during the day, whether you've let the whole practice slip, it doesn't matter at all. Just this is a good place to be. Now is a good place to be, and you can take it from here. So we're here to support each other in doing this formal practice, which really helps us to live a mindful life, to cope with the difficult, to live the agreeable to the full, and to show up in a way that we are coping with ourselves, with life, that we have emotional regulation, and we're better able to offer help from a place of being grounded and complete in our understanding of ourselves in the moment. So it's a valuable practice for ourselves and for those around us. Today I'm going to share 10 minutes mindfulness of the breath, and then a few words on refuge in the breath. So while we practice, I invite you to just notice how that feels, to just be with one breath, just here. Yes, there's going to be distractions. Yes, the mind wanders. That's all part of the practice. But how does it feel to simply be with one moment and one breath, or part of a breath? And can that feel like a safe place to be? This will be about 10 minutes. It's helpful to sit in a dignified posture. That triggers us to be alert and attentive. So comfortable and present. We close our eyes for 10 minutes, mindfulness of the breath. Coming into the moment by feeling ourselves sitting. And noticing how that feels. How do we know that we're sitting? We can probably feel the chair or the cushion. We can probably feel our feet where they're resting, either on the floor, the soles of the feet on the floor, or folded underneath if you're sitting on a cushion. Allowing our attention to dwell in the lower part of the body and connecting with the body sitting, connecting in this way with the now. Because these sensations of touch, of warmth, of contact are current. We receive them as they occur. These sensations don't speak of the past or the future. They only tell you what's happening right now. These physical sensations may change as you observe them. And our task is to kindly notice, being gently present and resting our attention on those physical sensations of sitting, and just noticing how that feels. We may feel as though coming home to something familiar, connecting with ourselves. And once we're here, even if it's for just fleeting moments, or if it's behind the busyness of thoughts, once we have a sense of sitting, more or less, we lift our attention to the breath. And observe where we feel the breath in this session, in this moment. And maybe it's slightly different from past meditations. So coming at it with a fresh view, an open mind, noticing where you feel the breath on this inhalation or that exhalation. Being curious, being interested in how your own experience feels during the periods of movement, during the pauses between the breaths, whether it's the tummy moving, the rib cage lifting and falling, or the air passing in the nostrils, or any other of the dozens of physical sensations that occur as the body breathes all by itself. Going a little bit closer to notice the subtle detail. Maybe there are sensations in the back, under the collarbones, maybe the lifting of the breath subtly changes the angle of the arms. Being attentive, knowing it's normal for the mind to take you away somewhere else. And if you go off, come back without judgment or criticism. Simply notice the transition between the engagement in thoughts and the returning to the breath. And if there are moments when you're present with just the breath, how does that feel? With the attention resting lightly on the breath, like a downy feather on still water. Being with the breath gently, hardly affecting the surface tension. And being with that moment and that one. The breath is always there, always present as a place of refuge. When we turn towards it with mindful awareness. Not trying too hard, being spacious and gentle with ourselves, with our attention, with the mind that takes us wandering. We're here to notice all that and be friendly with our experience. Following this breath and this one. Exploring with kindly curiosity and knowing we're doing something useful. We're learning, setting aside ideas of perfection or getting it right. Allowing ourselves to dwell with the moment, with each passing breath, sensing the breath through the physical sensations rather than thinking about it. Noticing where for you the breath is most apparent. And remembering this as your anchor place. somewhere to come to connect with the moment. And another breath in mindful awareness. Gently present. And allowing the bell to be part of our experience. And when we're ready, opening our eyes and noticing how that feels as well. Rather than finishing the meditation and stepping back into life, keeping some sense of being here and being present and taking that into your day. I'm going to show you my shiny bells. I polished them, so I hope they sounded extra good. Using the breath as a place of refuge can be a great help. And I hope that perhaps you noticed in that meditation how it feels just to rest with the breath. And no matter what's happening for us, we can always come into the now just for a moment. And that can be a great opportunity to take stock, to be here and to recenter ourselves. So whether something really agreeable and fun and joyful is happening, or whether it's something difficult, say something pleasurable, and I hope over the holidays there will be plenty of those moments. Say that that's happening. If we take refuge in the breath and connect with the joyful moment, we can set aside the mind which tends to try to improve things or change, even if it's something lovely that's happening. Often the mind will jump in and say, why don't I do this more often? Or why doesn't it last longer? So simply being with the joyful moment, setting aside the thoughts, taking refuge in that happy time can be a wonderful experience. And then if we're experiencing something difficult, if we're anxious, if we're feeling lonely, if we're in pain, then coming into the moment and just connecting with the breath can be give us a feeling of somewhere safe to rest and a place from which we can view the world, view our lives, and notice again what the mind is doing. Often the discomfort is difficult in itself, but then we add on with thoughts of, oh no, this might last forever. Why me? It's my fault. It's somebody else's fault. This is going to be a disaster. You know, the mind can add all kinds of angst on top of something that's already difficult, like pain or anxiety or heartache. So just coming into the breath and being in that moment with those feelings, it can be give you a sense of refuge, a safe place, somewhere that you can always be there for yourself, with yourself, and allow your attention to rest in just that moment. And very often we feel that we can cope when we're dealing with just one moment and we move towards our experience. And we have talked about moving towards the difficult. So keeping it simple on this broadcast, just resting with the breath and noticing how that feels, taking refuge. And the hardest thing to do is to remember to do it. So if you have some signals, some little triggers that you can use when the phone goes, when you arrive somewhere in the car, when you make a cup of tea, that might be a moment to just rest with the breath and connect with yourself and find refuge. Thank you for being here, and I'd like to take the opportunity to congratulate the 18 mindfulness graduates who've just completed the 8-week course in the south of France. So well done, everyone. It was really a rich journey, and I congratulate you for your attention, for your commitment to the path, for supporting each other, for being there And I'm so excited for those who really practiced to see that you're enjoying some of the benefits, and it's just the start. So there's no limit as to how mindful and present we can be. And we're here to support each other to keep the practice up once the classes have finished. So do come online regularly on Thursdays. You can watch the video afterwards on YouTube, and stay in touch. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next Thursday. In fact, what's the date next Thursday? I'm just going to have a look. I've just arrived in the mountains, and so I'm not quite sure. Here we are. Oh, it's Christmas Eve. So we'll be here Christmas Eve, as usual, and that can be very helpful before the festivities start. Have a mindful week, and see you again soon.